mass incarceration is not just a political problem. I think it's a theological problem. There's a lot of theology that we take for granted that lives underneath mass incarceration, right? We are actually okay with certain people. We're okay that a man who we say was innocent was killed by his own government, the Roman Empire. And we celebrate the fact that an innocent person was killed so that we can be saved. Right? Now, what I'm saying is there's something underneath that theology, not the theology itself. There's something underneath that theology that makes us okay with people being punished so that we can get the benefits. The idea that this is what happens. Black bodies have to disappear so that we can be saved. Brown bodies, poor bodies have to be invisibilized, punished, so that we can live the American dream, live the American way. Right? I'm not talking about the theology, that doctrine itself. I'm talking about what's underneath that doctrine. What are the implications of that? We have built an entire religion that we celebrate the death of one because it benefits all of us. So of course we're okay if a fraction of people are put in prisons, not where they are just being reformed and being rehabilitated, but put in prisons where they are being killed and tortured in privacy, outside of the public eye. Of course we're okay with that because we built a religion that says punishment is good because it protects the few of us. I think that we also have to go back to where Dr. Trulier launched us, and that is mass incarceration is not just a war on drugs. We know it was never a war on drugs. It has been, in many cases, a war on the poor. But what would it look like if we saw it as a war on the very image of God? People, human beings, are being shredded and graded, and we're okay. They do it in our name. They do it on our dime. And what are they doing? They are taking human beings and attempting to make them less human by treating them as less human, and then their narratives, particularly the way the media functions, that allows us to see them as less human, right? So I think that is, a long way of saying when we talk about the spiritual implications, we have to be clear that this is baked into our theology. He talked about theological anthropology. What do we actually believe about the human person? We've been fed theologies that tell us that the human person is wretched. We have great hymns. Amazing Grace, that talk about our wretchedness. We take parts of Paul's canon. Paul's talking about himself as less than something desirable, and we've universalized that to mean all human flesh, all human beings are less than desirable, are depraved, are wretched. There's something in our theologies that does not allow us to value what the human person means. I'll close with this, that our ancestors, those of us who are descendants of chattel slaves, people who were forced to be chattel, forced to be property, that they were disallowed to be human. They were not, the theology said they weren't human, the politics said they weren't human, the Constitution in many ways said they weren't human, and they fought to be human. And then the moment they became human, they inherited a theology that said to be human is wretched, to be depraved. We have to adjust what we understand the human person to be. Not just bodies, but lives. A spark of divinity that lives inside of the human person. How do we reclaim that? That's at stake. And what do we do with the fact that we have a religion that inadvertently celebrates suffering and punishment, makes it sacred, that tells us, in some cases, the more we suffer, the closer we are to God. What are we doing? Of course we're okay with social suffering when our theology tells us it's good.
Absolutely. Thank you. Amen. That's good. That's good. So this is the opportunity we have to excavate our theology.